Hello everyone, today we're just going to be discussing on how to stop being lazy. And the very first thing that I think that really affected my life and my productiveness was waking up at a very late, or going to bed very late and waking up late. And the reason I woke up late was because I would always be playing catch up, and I have a lot of curriculars that I'm trying to advance and excel in. And when I wake up late, often at times I just wouldn't cover all the tasks and all the things that I wanted to accomplish in the day. And even though I knew that waking up early would be better, it's just that like I would always lie to myself and like, oh, I'll stay up to 3 this time, and then tomorrow, tomorrow I'll get back in line. But it just would never work out. And then I would never do the work either, because at 12 I'm turning on YouTube or I'm turning on some form of entertainment. I'm not about to do my work. And if I did do it, I'm like on like so many milligrams of I was about to say cocaine, of like Coca-Cola or cheer wine. I drink cheer wine. And so now I'm feeling like all impulsive, wanting to do certain bad behaviors and different things. But ultimately, it just never works out. I'm doing my work half-heartedly, sloppily, not soberly, and therefore it's just never a good idea. And so what I had to realize was just call it a loss and go to bed. Go to bed at 11, 12, wake up at 4, 5, 6 in the morning. You'll be able to cover a lot more ground as far as the things that you want to accomplish this year. And Jesus says, is there not 12 hours in a day? Therefore, whoever walks in darkness, they stumble. And so that's something I try to remember, even though in context, I think it matches in context as well, because I think he was running out of time or something like that. But yeah, try and go to bed early. That's definitely going to help you. And the next thing that will help you go to bed early is this. You can buy this in any grocery store, Bath House Farms. That stuff instantly knocks me out. I don't know if it has like a high sugar amount in it or what. But yeah. Well, I don't think that's it, because when I drink sweet tea I think that kind of makes me feel like it has that sugar rush type of effect. But another thing that's practical that will help you do a lot more of the things that you want to do this year is lighting. Now, this sounds crazy. This is sleep lighting. It is 5,000 5,000 Celsius maybe, and 1,600 lumens. This one's 800, but I usually go for the 1,600 one. I think that just refers to the size of the bulb in general, maybe, and then it's 13 watts. Check these out. Now, these are the type of lights that are used in factories and during things that you want to really be able to see what you're doing so you can leave with all your body parts. But usually I start my day off mad sluggish. I wake up kind of like Frankenstein, kind of almost like, not like Wednesday hating everything, but just just mad slow about everything in the day. And that's probably for multiple reasons, but that's really just how I am. Having those residuals from staying in Ohio for so long, those gray cloudy skies, I guess they just stay with me. But yeah, I experience melancholy a lot, and at times I actually enjoy it, but other times it's like it kind of freezes me from doing what I actually need to do. So brightening up my day, having these lights on instantly, it just creates this atmosphere of doing things practically, and not just thinking about them or planning to do them, to actually doing them. And the next thing that is definitely going to help you is your diet. And when I want to read my Bible in the morning, I read for about an hour and a half. That's what I need to. I have to. And then I read another book for about 30 minutes. When I do that, sometimes I don't like reading. And so what I'll do is I'll drink a protein shake, and immediately I'm able to cover that span of time without too much effort. It makes everything very easy to digest and comprehend when I start my day like that. And I try and read with nothing and just dry, but when I haven't done it in a while, then I have to rely on the protein shakes. But eventually, when you do things without even having a good diet, or just doing things naturally, you will develop an ability to just do things dry and without any energy. And something else that is going to help you be more productive is just knowing that when you do things and you don't feel like doing it, it's going to make you a lot more attractive. And I'm not going to elaborate on that, but that's just facts. But yeah, protein shakes. There was a presentation I did recently, and I ate a protein bar, and everybody was just kind of worried, because usually conveying and simplifying data to people. That's kind of my job in whatever group I'm in or whatever class or whatever the case may be, because I'm just good at doing it, and they needed me to like cover a big bulk of the presentation and just like, because it needed to be like 30 minutes or something or 25 or something, so it was my job to like wear a lot of that time out. And they're kind of weird because I was like completely in zombie mode. It was like 8 o'clock. At that time my brain is like, I don't have anything to like, you're getting the natural version of me. And so I was mad super dry at that time. I ate a protein bar and it was like I was Popeye on the spinach, powered right through it. And the next thing you know, people started eating protein bars after that because I was like dead tired. I was like struggling to stay up. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, diet, I always say protein, especially if you're ADD, but everybody's diet is different. But and another thing, considering diet, I don't really eat during the day anything that's like junk food. Junk food is towards the night. If I want a pizza, I eat it at night. During the day, I'm eating almonds, my protein cereal, I'm eating all that kind of stuff. I'm not eating blueberries. I'm not eating junk food. Absolutely not. And the next thing is schedule. Now, this took me so long to do because of my impulsiveness, and like I don't have that ability to do, oh, I'll do this at 6:15 and 6:30 I'll do this, and like my brain, I'm just not that kind of person, so schedule just didn't work and mesh well with me. But eventually I figured out how I can do a schedule. And the Bible says whoever has no rule over his own spirit, it's like a city broken down without walls. So having some defense, which we'll talk about in another video, very important, and things that you do to prevent you from doing other things, not so don't do this, don't do that. That's going to help you, but having a schedule is important. So the way I have my schedule set up is, say an activity I need to do throughout the week is calculus. And I know that I need to do calculus probably at least 5 times for a span of 2 hours a day. And so instead of specific times of the day doing that, I'll have heading calculus. And then under that, I'll have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And next to those specific days, I'll have 2 hours, or the duration of time I want to do those things. And in general, it doesn't matter if I don't do them on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I can do it, I can miss a day, but then I'll have to stack up, or I may have to spend some time doing that on the weekend, which would suck. So I make sure to do that on that day at some point of the day. And another thing that's going to help you, especially when you don't know where to start, because when we go over anything that's just a lot of information and theoretical stuff, having a tutor, having an older tutor especially, definitely helps, because generally people that are younger, they just can't really, they don't really have the emotional intelligence to kind of pick up, to read where your brain specifically is being put to a halt, or where you're not understanding something. So they'll just give you a bunch of shortcuts and new things that can help you, and new tips, but they can't like read you and instantly kind of like, oh, your brain is, this is actually where you're slipping up. But working things all the way out and then going back over, I do have some younger people that do that, and that obviously helps. So you're gonna have some people, age doesn't matter, but I will say like having somebody older definitely is gonna help you. An older tutor will definitely help you accomplish goals or initiate tasks that you've always wanted to do. But going back to the schedule, yeah, when I accomplish something, and what I'll do to reward myself is I cross it off right after. And anything else? Oh, timers. This is like the biggest thing actually on here, pretty much, besides spiritual stuff, is timers. I set timers. So let's go back to calculus. All right, we're doing that for 2 hours, right? I'll have a timer that's 2 hours running. And then I'll have another timer. We'll break that up into each hour up into limits and derivatives. So I have another timer that's running for an hour that helps me, that also rewards my brain, but also lets me know like, okay, time to go move on to the other topic. And I also break the hour up. So I also have a timer that runs for 15 minutes. So I have 3 timers running. And the 15-minute timer is, okay, say we're doing the limits within the first hour. The 15-minute timer is me going over specific types of limits. And so, boom, I'm going over this specific type of limit for 15 minutes. And I do 4 different types of limits. Boom, okay, the first hour is done. And then the second hour would be like, okay, 4 different types of derivatives. So you're setting like 8 15-minute timers, and you're rewarding yourself to get through it, because that helps get over that short attention span you probably have from scrolling on TikTok and Insta Reels all day. The next couple things I want to say is feeding the spirit. there was this radio station I was listening to the other day, and it talked about the way that we can reject our human nature is by feeding the Spirit. You know, Galatians 5:22 says the fruit of the Spirit is self-control and all the other things that we desire. And so when you keep feeding the Spirit, of course you're going to like, oh, that's crazy to say. Of course you're going to produce self-control. We'll say it that way. Self-control is going to come out. And that's what he was that's what he was conveying, is just like, you want to reject your human nature. Like, we're prone to do just things that are naturally sin, evil. And that's why you need to be feeding your spirit and walking with God. And that's where I am right now, just figuring out how to walk with God, not in just specific time frames, but most moments of my life and all moments of my life. And the next thing I want to say is diligence. This is something I also struggle with, because there's days I just do not want to talk to people, or days that I just want to just catch up. And the Bible says, the lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is man's precious possession. There's also days where I'll learn a lot of things, like I'll get all the information and understanding I need, but then I want to apply it right after I receive that, and then I forget it, and then it makes things harder. And another example, I had this tea from Japan that a lot of people were trying to buy, and I just didn't feel like talking to people and checking up on the shirt and figuring out if it's clean and different things like that. And so like I just let a day or two go by, and then like several different people like that were interested in it, they just passed over, and I talked to some of them, became like kind of acquainted with them, and they were like, oh man, I bought it from somewhere else. And so like, dang, I could have made $80, because you know, anything from Japan just sells for, clothing wise, just sells like for crazy. And I was like, dang, I missed out on that because I just couldn't get out of myself. And that just happened. So one of my friends, I kind of envy her in this, and she just says, you know, I'm bored a lot of days of my life just because every time I know I need to do something, I just get it done. So just try and do things a week ahead. And I know when I had classes that were early, and because I used to skip class a lot, one thing that helped me go to class was just being there 15 minutes early. Now I don't have to worry about, you know, getting points docked off my final grade for my attendance and different things like that. Just getting there early. And the next thing I want to say, that's a different take. One of my mathematical friends, however, did tell me to grayscale my phone. He always grayscales his phone during the day. When your phone looks like a newspaper, you're not going to want to be on it. That's just facts. And your brain actually has a desire to see color, and I think we vicariously fulfill that in our phones. And so when we should be outside or talking or being with a group of people, we're on our phones, and now we don't feel that need to do that. Another thing that I do is I camouflage my phone. I camouflage my phone clock. Now, as you can see, you cannot see the clock on my phone because it's the same color as my background. That also helps. So if you noticed, in light of the timers, going back to that, if you keep looking at the time, oh, did I run out of time yet? Did I run out of time yet? Like, you're going to make the mental process of pushing through the work a lot harder. If you've done any cardio in the gym, you know if you keep looking down at the time, it's so much harder to finish what you're doing, the stairs or the treadmill or the bicycle or whatever you're doing. You're just making it more, you're just straining yourself more mentally. Yeah, the next thing I'll say is I usually do not have social media on my phone. Now, sometimes, you know, I've been contacting my younger friends on social media or staying in touch with them. And so I have it right now, but generally I don't have Instagram on my phone, or I have everything on my laptop. If I want to go to Instagram, I'm on my laptop, and there's a lot of things on the feed that I don't agree with, and so then you accidentally click something, or you just click something, and it's then, I think that you don't agree with and doesn't agree with your values, like smoking, drinking, and all these other practices of sin. It's like, yeah, now it's like, now you're contemplative. Not all the time. Sometimes you make mistakes, but it's just like, it can put you in a contemplative thing about the things that you value and different things like that. So it's best not to even have social media, and especially with all the falsehoods and insecurities that social media promotes. Prioritizing God, Matthew 6:33. Enough said. I have multiple channels. I have a channel for just goofing off of nonsense, Charlie Chaplin, slapstick kind of humor. And I have another channel that's more practical and all has a lot of history in it, like for music and for math or computers or whatever interest that I have. So I've got like 6 different channels. And I know not to go on that other channel when it's during the day, when I want to get things done. Another thing I want to say, I have 3 different, how many things? Yeah, I have 3 different topics to go over, but we don't have that much time left. Time currency. The Bible says, Romans 13:11-14, and do this knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than when we first believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Therefore let us cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk on properly as in the day, not in revelry and drunkenness, not in lewdness, and not in lust, and not in strife and envy. But put on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill its lusts. We have to realize when we withhold information and things that we have for our neighbors or whatever the case may be, that is affecting their future. You can't just give it, I'll do it when I feel like it, and then you give the information 2 days later, and it's like, well, I already made the lifelong decision, or my mind is already set in this direction. And what you said, thanks, that would have been helpful then, but now it's different. And so just knowing that, I think we just take advantage of the fact that we have time, and we don't really realize that we're actually impacting and affecting the life of others with our laziness. And this one actually really helps me as well. Think about what you're doing. Ecclesiastes 10:5-7. There is evil I have seen under the sun, like a mistake that proceeds from the ruler. Foolishness is set in many exalted places, while the rich sit in humble places. I've seen slaves riding on horses and princes walking like slaves on the land. And this is a little piece I wrote. I'm going to read off of this. It says, I catch myself mindlessly watching entertainers and content that I despise and detest when I'm tired or on break. And the other day I asked myself, why do you do this? You technically are supporting things you hate by watching them. Like, I hate this ignorance this dude exudes, and in real life I probably would look at him like a lame, just from the way that he carries himself and the insecurities that he carries with him, that he believes in with his whole heart. And so, like, everything he represents, I hate what he stands for. And, like, with that being said, it's not like looking down on people, but it's just realizing that this could influence you to also believe those same things, but also you're supporting things you don't agree with. So why are you watching this? And this is how I stopped listening to a lot of artists a lot of times, and they were saying toxic things and had a lot of vulgar things as well. It's because, like, this dude, all these people talk about is how people trick them, and they're just not emotionally intelligent, and they have all these things, but it's like people just get off on them. And so it's like, I don't respect that. I don't respect people that get played like tricks and things like that. So why am I listening to this person? Or am I listening to this girl who's just riddled with anxiety? I don't want to be anxious. Like, I already overplan things and I'm impulsive. I don't need that in my life. I don't need that mentality. And I do want to say, when you have been spending time in the truth, and there's a lot of young people that just don't understand this, is that when you have a foundation of truth, yeah, you can listen to anything. It doesn't really matter as much. It still can influence you to do things. But yeah, when you have that foundation, yeah, you can listen to this and listen to that. But when you don't have that, you probably just should cut those things off cold turkey. And there's a lot of people that you just don't have that resilience built up. So yes, it's going to affect you more so. And the last thing I will talk about is something my friend helped me with earlier, a few weeks ago. And he was saying, we have to be more gracious. I was telling him I've been struggling, procrastinating, and laziness. And he's like, well, and he showed me, he's the same way. Like, he just turned something in for his job at work, like, to the last millisecond. And he's like, honestly, I think we just have to be more gracious with the time that we've been given in the industry and different things that we're in, and then the chance that we get to develop ourselves and this and that. And being gracious and having gratitude, it's not just a logical thing. It's not just an emotional thing. It's actually conveyed through our actions. And so I know that my grandma won't be here forever. That's something I started thinking about, because he also told me about, like, I also seen this picture of him, and I was like, who's that? And it was like, oh, his grandparents did die. And it made me think, like, man, my grandma's not going to be here forever, so maybe I should spend more time now, and that will convey my gratitude about the situation. I only have 20 seconds for this. And so, yeah, gratitude, when you really are when you really have gratitude about something, it's going to come with a responsibility.